Good Monday afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend and a great holiday. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. Plenty to talk about. Browns disappointing loss Christmas night in Green Bay, but still very much alive in the AFC North race. Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan will join us a little bit later. We will talk plenty of Browns, and that's where we begin. Some news from the Browns last half hour or so. A number of guys activated from the COVID-19 list, and it is some big names as well. Jadeveon Clowney, Ronnie Harrison, Troy Hill, Malik McDowell, Mac Wilson from the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side, you get back Kareem Hunt, Jedrick Wills, as well as Drew Forbes. So the Browns activating a number of players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, some big names, and they also get Kareem Hunt back from the COVID-19 restricted list. Let's welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Hayden, some important names if the Browns are going to get the 2 wins they desperately need on that list. Let's hope all are back at full strength. The Browns can use everything they need, anything they can get the final 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the guys that they're getting back, those are some key pieces for sure. And not only that, I mean, now they have an extra week to practice. I mean, they have it on pretty much an entire full week here, starting on Monday. So very good news out of Bria and Cleveland today, because like I said, having a whole week back to get back to their your normal game week schedule is a big deal. So a week from today, Browns play Pittsburgh for the season, and they got to have as many guys at full strength as possible if they want to have a chance. Without
question. Kevin Stefanski talked today, and again, kind of a tough loss in Green Bay, a game that the Browns could have potentially won, didn't do enough to get it done. Here's Kevin Stefanski on the loss to the Packers.
Like we talked about after the game and how we feel watching it on the tape, certainly frustrated. Felt like we had a real good opportunity to come out of there with a win versus a good team, and we didn't come through. So frustrated, and we're going to watch the tape with the players tomorrow, pull it apart, see ways that we can get better, and that's got to be our focus. Our whole focus is on Pittsburgh, and we got now a long week going into this one. Get some guys back, hopefully off of the COVID list, and then put a plan together to go find a way to get a win in Pittsburgh.
As you mentioned, Pittsburgh Monday night, and we have detailed the 8 guys that came off the COVID list. But again, Browns have to find a way to go and get a win. We keep saying this every week, Hayden. Disappointing result, but they can still go. And if they win the AFC North, not only do they get in the playoffs, it's a home playoff game that they get as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's still weird to think that everything is out in front of them, given all the disappointment of the last couple of weeks. I mean, given the disappointment of the game against Green Bay, given the disappointment of the game against Las Vegas, everything's still in front of them, and it's kind of it's a testament to how difficult the NFL is and how difficult how much these teams put into it. And the Baltimore Ravens have a good football team. The Steelers, I still think, have a good football team. The Bengals obviously have a good football team, and the Browns have a good football team. The Browns have not gotten a lot of breaks this year. It's something to continue to think about as we go forward. But you're right, everything is in front of them, absolutely everything.
And again, Christmas Day game against Packers, not a good one for Baker Mayfield. He's just got to play better. He'll be the first to tell you. Here's Baker Mayfield post-game on the struggles against the Packers.
This interception, and the one put to Donovan as well, he's probably 15 yards down the field getting illegal contact. But the other 2 were just bad throws. Didn't follow through on the one in the red zone, which is extremely costly. A red zone turnover, just sailed high. You can see if you slow it down and falling back, fighting my own momentum, which is not good. And then the other one to Jarvis on the sideline, our sideline, just got to put it more outside. I made a good play on it, seeing it left inside and rotating back and playing it, but just frustrating. I don't think it was anything preparation-wise, mentally. It was just missed throws, uncharacteristic, and I hurt this team. So that's the most frustrating thing for me, because I thought our defense played tremendous against a really good offense. But when you turn the ball over on your own territory in the red zone and around midfield and give them extra opportunities, they're going to take advantage of it. I mean, it's just who they are.
And Hayden, you can see Baker Mayfield kind of searching for answers there. The one thing he hadn't done until fairly recently was turn the ball over. You see how critical it is that he not turn the football over. Those are the mistakes that they can't overcome, really.
Yeah, I mean, he said it himself. He had a couple moments where, just mechanical things. His eyes weren't in the best spots. His body was all over the place. The other two, I mean, you know what? When you look at the throw to Donovan Peoples-Jones, I'm not going to give that to Baker. I'm just going to, chalk that up to a missed call and trying to get his guy open downfield, maybe hoping for a call down there. The other one to Donovan Peoples-Jones, we all saw it was kind of, he was held back, and that the amount of time he was held for kind of allowed that defender to get in there. But I think that's the difference is that, like I said, the Browns have not gotten the breaks that they've needed this year. They have not gotten the calls that they've needed, but they also haven't played well enough to overcome those calls and overcome those breaks. So you're right. Baker knows that he needs to be better. And I can't sit here and make excuses for him. He's not making excuses for himself. You got to go and get the job done over these last two games, or else, you're going to be in a situation where you miss the playoffs, and there are going to be a lot of, heavy daggers pointing your direction from eyes around the room. So Baker has his back up against the wall. I think that's when he's at his best. And I have no doubt that him being on the practice field this week, him getting a normal week of preparation, will have him ready to go against Pittsburgh on Monday.
Well, let's take a look at a tweet that you had that it kind of delineates just the tough losses that the Browns have had. The Chiefs, and we see that, Chubb and the one to the punter where it just hits in his hands, the crazy Hill TD, 42 points and lost a really bad call. Then the uncharacteristic Jarvis Landry fumble. The Ravens, they get 4 interceptions on Lamar Jackson in the offense. I think got 3 points off of that. Last-second field goal against the Raiders. Baker's 4 picks the last game. And you can't – when you look at things like this, Hayden, it's easy to say, it's the quarterback's fault. He shares some of the blame. The defense shares some of the blame. The coaching when you're not getting it done late in the fourth quarter, it's easy to say it's the quarterback's fault. It's never just one person's fault. It's been a complete lack of performing when you need to in the fourth quarter by the offense, by the defense, by the special teams in some instances. To look at one thing and isolate it, you're being naive. It's way deeper than just one guy.
Yes, I completely agree. I think it is, football is an 11-on-11 game. It's a team sport. And as the saying goes, 1 out of 11 guys doesn't do their job, a whole play can be blown up. So you got to have 11 guys doing their job. And, that just hasn't been the case for the Browns this year, whether it be the quarterback, whether it be the running back, whether it be the offensive line, whether it be a drop pass by the receiver, whether it be, a penalty on the defense. It's just one thing after another. And it's tough because this team is close. You look at those games. Those are all games against playoff opponents. Those are all very winnable games for the Browns, and they just can't do it. The Vegas game, I think, that's a COVID game. You kind of lose that one because you don't have your guys. The Packers game, like I said, Baker was pretty uncharacteristically inaccurate, and also, had a couple missed calls that didn't go your way. So those two are the most recent. Those two are kind of the ones that are in my head right now. But I look at it, and the Chargers game, you score 42 points. The Steelers game, drops and bad, and fumbles, and the Chiefs game, drops and fumbles. It's a lot of weird things that have happened to this football team this year.
Well, Kevin Stefanski talked about just suffering another tough, close loss against the Packers, and in what we've delineated has now been 6 of them. Here's Kevin Stefanski on the close losses.
Yeah, I think that is frustrating, Jake. Obviously, this is the NFL. The games are going to be close, and we got to find a way to come through. I have to find a way to come through for the team when we're in those moments. And, that is really, again, the frustration because, you get into this part of the season and, I'm sure it's easy to say the woulda, coulda, shoulda type things. But for us, again, all of our focus has to just go right back into this week, this game versus this opponent.
And again, there are not too far-fetched things that have to happen for the Browns to get to Week 18 against Cincinnati with a win and you're in scenario. So yeah, you better put all the stuff behind you and focus strictly on Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers if you're the Cleveland Browns.
Well, that's all you can do. I mean, when you look at what's going to happen, they're going to play on Sunday. Those teams are going to play on Sunday. The Rams, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Chiefs are going to play on Sunday. So you'll have it in front of you. If everything goes your way, you're going to have that in front of you. And then, if you beat the Steelers, then it's all on you. It's a win or go home week. It's a win or go home week 18. So, looking forward to seeing what happens, but they've kind of shot themselves in the foot with the opportunity to hold their own ability to control their destiny. It's been disappointing in that way, and that they've been so close, but they just haven't been able to put it away. And Kevin Stefanski says he needs to be better, and I think the entire team needs to be better. So I'm with you on that, and they just got to focus on this week. There's nothing else they can look at this point.
Yep, and again, they do need a little bit of help on Sunday going into Monday night's game, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility, and it's probably more likely that they get the help they need than they don't. Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will continue to talk about the Browns game against the Packers. Baker Mayfield, we'll hear more from him. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine and too late at night. But feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready for a game a week from tonight, Monday night against the Steelers. Need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Need a little bit of help on Sunday. Matt Hasselbeck from NFL Countdown on ESPN talked about Baker Mayfield and his play this season, what he's seen as a former quarterback.
The biggest problem, and I said it when it happened, that stupid shoulder harness. Okay, you're a quarterback. You're not a middle linebacker. They tried to put me in one of those one year. I tried it out. You cannot be accurate on all your throws with that injury, with that shoulder harness. To me, this is my personal opinion, you either lose the shoulder harness and you're able to play, you're healthy enough to go, or just go ahead and get your offseason shoulder surgery done.
If that's it, what are you, Stefanski? Okay? I mean, I don't want the quarterback looked at, oh, he's a #1 overall pick, so we got to leave him in and see what he has to do. No, if there's someone else besides Baker that you feel can do a better job, put him in. Yeah. If he's hurting us as a team,
this was a different situation, too. I mean, think about it. He took a private plane to Green Bay, Wisconsin, hours before the game, didn't even travel. He's coming off of COVID. But I'm just saying, when you're evaluating Baker right now, okay, what I think everyone's looking for is Aaron Rodgers-type play because you were the #1 pick. But you're not going to get it if you're so hurt that you got to wear this giant left shoulder brace. I guess that's just where I'm saying, and I know I'm biased because I've had the injury.
In Hayden Grove, I've kind of said that all along, and nobody knows for sure. I think the shoulder injury is a little bit more significant than they're letting on. I think when you're trying to evaluate Baker Mayfield moving forward, this is a lost season. I don't think you can accurately do it. And I also get the argument from people that, well, then he shouldn't be playing. Clearly, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and the Browns feel Baker Mayfield gives them the best opportunity to win even at a limited capacity that he may be in. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't keep trotting him out.
That's true. I mean, at the end of the day, the only person that matters in terms of evaluating Baker Mayfield is Andrew Berry. I mean, we can sit here and play analyst all we want. We can sit here and play quarterback coach all we want. But Andrew Berry knows what things that we don't know. Andrew Berry knows the significance of this injury. Andrew Berry knows, how that shoulder brace is affecting him. Andrew Berry knows all of this. That's his job to know all of this. So I agree with you completely that, this could very well be a lost season for Baker Mayfield. The numbers certainly do not point to him being anywhere near what he's ever been in the NFL from from year 1 to year 4. Matt Hasselbeck was one of the examples they've used, as somebody who didn't have a great year after tearing his labrum because of that big shoulder harness. I mean, especially for a guy with as much torque as Baker Mayfield, throwing the ball, accurately relies a lot on that left shoulder. And, I think that it goes back to, you can't make an excuse for it, because if he's out there playing, then he's, the one that's supposed to be performing. So it's a tough catch-22. This whole year for Baker has been tough. I really hope the Browns, give him another go, because I don't think this year has been necessarily, I don't know if it's not been fair to him, but it's just been, one thing after the other. And between COVID, between the shoulder, I don't think you're going to get a fair evaluation of Baker Mayfield. So I hope the Browns don't get too short-sighted and say, okay, we just got to get rid of him now. I mean, I think that's a very short-sighted, and it's something that I would not do.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you that there needs, and again, you and I don't know, nobody knows. Anybody that says that they know, if they're not in the building at Berea, is lying to you. Nobody knows the significance and how limited that shoulder harness and that injury have made him since probably the third week of the season. All right, the last 7 starts for Baker Mayfield have been not good. And again, we've chronicled how banged up he's been. A 3-4 record. They're trying to fight through it. The 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's the concerning thing, is the interceptions have been kind of a little bit more than you would like as of late. Those are the things that, even if you're banged up, you got to stop turning the football over. That is what will kill this offense, putting this defense in a bad situation. And you know what? The defense has played very well as of late. Really since that Patriots game, you couldn't ask much more from this defense.
No, the defense has been spectacular. I've loved the job that they've done in pretty much every game. Those numbers, yes, numbers don't lie, but I mean, 4 of those interceptions came in one game, and you're looking probably at like an 8-4 touchdown or 7-4 touchdown to interception ratio. So, yeah, I mean, it looks worse than it probably is, but still, I mean, again, the 4 interceptions against the Packers, they don't go away; they go on the stat sheet. So, be they caused by penalty or lack of penalties, or be they caused by bad breaks, whatever, they're still on there. So there's no doubt that Baker is not, again, the numbers have not been there, and the fact that they're not winning games, I mean, it's been one thing after the other. And I do feel bad for the whole situation, because I know he's better than this. He is better than this. He's proven he's better than this. And I think he's tried to tough it out all year. And I think, they were finally starting to get on a roll after that Ravens game, and then he gets COVID, and then he comes back the day after it's just been one thing after another. So this week, he didn't have a setback against the Packers this week. He's got a whole week to be out there to practice with his teammates, to get some time off, to kind of rest, on the off day, I believe, which will be tomorrow. So, I mean, it's go time, and there's really, I hope that this is the week he can get it back on track. I really do.
Yep, and they actually will alter their schedule slightly. Wednesday will be the off day.
Yes,
because of the Monday night game. Well, they were debating that. That came out about a half hour ago. All right, Baker Mayfield was asked post game, lack of practice, lack of the reps, reason for the struggles. Here's Baker Mayfield post game on if it was because he couldn't practice all week.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't think it was any mental preparation. I've had a ton of reps in making those throws, and I expect myself to make them, and that's why it's frustrating. I'd be sitting up here giving an excuse that I hadn't practiced, but I'm a quarterback in the NFL. I need to make those throws, and I have before and time again, so it is what it is. That's why it's extra frustrating, which is why, like I said, I thought defense played great. I thought our skill guys played well. Offensive line, same thing. The backs, obviously, running their tails off. So that's why it's frustrating for me. Is like I said, I hurt this team. I mean, there's no excuse. It is what it is.
And no excuses, so credit for that. Again, how many different ways can you say he's just got to play better in these last two games?
There's really no other way to say it. I mean, there's no excuse because you're right. You're an NFL quarterback, and he said it before. Nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares about the shoulder harness. Nobody cares about the missed call, penalty calls. They want you to go out there and throw the ball and throw it accurately. And that's as Baker said, he's done it time and time again. Last year, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Came out this year, first two games before the labrum injury, had almost 80% completions. I think he was 19 of 21 against the Texans. So it's frustrating to watch this thing deteriorate this year. And luckily, I mean, they have everything in front of them. So Baker can still save this season remarkably. I mean, they go out and beat these two teams. They host a playoff game and they win a playoff game. I mean, we're right back to square one with, this guy's won. He's a winner. So I hope he does it because I think this year has been remarkably difficult for him in many, many ways. And I think he's, been on the short end of the stick in just about everything that he can't control to this point.
Yeah, and I would agree. We'll see. Again, you're absolutely right. You win the next three games, nobody's going to remember much before that home playoff game that you would host. Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will look at Pro Football Focus's Team of the Week. 3 Browns make the Pro Football Focus Team of the Week for their performance against the Packers. We'll also hear Kevin Stefanski about the way the defense has performed. And, of course, we'll take another listen to more about Baker Mayfield. Sports4CLE. Be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready for a Monday night game a week from tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now all must-wins for the Browns moving forward. Rex Ryan on Baker Mayfield after his performance in Green Bay. This is from ESPN's NFL Countdown.
Everybody's going to be focused on Baker Mayfield and the fact that he plays poorly. We've yet to see him bring his team back in the fourth quarter. The way you measure quarterbacks is how they perform in the red zone and in
2 minute,
in 2 minute in fourth quarter. And he's one of the worst in the league, if not the worst QBR in the league in those situations. So to me, that's what he has to prove. Look, I love his guts. I love how tough he is, but he's just not getting it done. And the accuracy that everybody said he had coming out of college, not everybody, by the way, is questioned right now. He made some, horrendous decisions. The interception that sailed on him, you're already in field goal range. All right, that's a mistake you can't make. I'm sorry, you can't make it. But we're starting to see where an undersized guy, that's why I always say this is a size-speed league. If you're undersized and not very athletic, you're going to have a tough time playing.
You still got a
position.
chance in the fourth quarter. They
still had a chance
Why? In the fourth quarter.
Because you have an unbelievable running game, all right, and you have a solid defense. Like that to me should carry the day. This running game, I don't care who's at quarterback, gives you a chance to win, and yet they're in a position right now. If you had a franchise quarterback, it would be a Super Bowl contender.
And Hayden Grove, normally I have issues with what Rex Ryan says. I don't have any issues with what he said, other than the undersized thing, which he kind of bangs on a lot. That Baker's been the same size the whole time. The accuracy thing, I think, is part of the shoulder harness. I really do. But again, if he's out there, you expect him to perform.
Well, I think the accuracy thing goes back to the, it does. I think it's definitely affected by the shoulder harness. But his foot, the concerning part to me on Saturday specifically was his footwork. I mean, I think Alex Van Pelt came into the year saying his footwork is good. He's much better with his feet, and the one throw to Jarvis that sailed on him. I mean, it was a good decision. He was open. He was good eyes. And his feet were all over the place, and he was falling back, and the ball, sailed on him. I mean, there's the little things there where it's just like, man, I mean, you gotta, at this point, you're kind of concerned as to why his feet aren't right. And could it be a week without practice and not, getting that footwork in? Yeah, maybe. But I don't. When it goes to Rex Ryan, I still am not ready to say Baker's not a franchise quarterback. I mean, again, he's proven that he can take this team, to good heights, and he's proven when he's healthy, he can be very efficient. I mean, last year proved it. So there's every quarterback can have a bad year, especially given the fact that Baker's essentially snake bitten this year with all that he's dealt with. I'm not ready to say that he's not a franchise quarterback. I think he's just this season he's just got to put that all behind him and focus on this week. And you can't worry about what he hasn't done. You got to worry about what he can do and what he will do. So Rex is right. He hasn't gotten the job done in the fourth quarters this year. There's lots of reasons for that, including on himself. And they had a good opportunity on Saturday and just didn't get the job done.
Yep, and that's where I was going with is he just hasn't done it. He's had the opportunity in the fourth quarter and has not been able to do it to date. The other thing I would say, and don't minimize, when a part of your body isn't right, like his non-throwing shoulder, everything you do, you try to compensate to get a little extra on it. So it leads to bad habits, bad mechanics, because you're trying to compensate for something that's not right. So that's why everything is interrelated. Game's hard enough if you're healthy. If you're less than 100%, it becomes darn near impossible because you have to try to compensate other parts of your body to make up for what is not 100%. All right, let's take a look at one of your tweets. Browns have lost 6 games by 6 points or less. Most in the NFL this season. And when you look at that, if they win half of those, I'm not saying all of them. If they find a way to win 3 of those, they're 10-5 and fighting for, the number 1 seed and a bye in the AFC playoffs, as opposed to having lost all 6 and they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show that they're right there. I mean, like we said, they're right there. All those heartbreaking games that I mentioned, those are the 6 games we mentioned: Los Angeles, Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then the Vegas and the Packers. I mean, those 6 games, those are the ones we're talking about. And to play that closely against those, those great opponents, it proves that this team has what it takes to get on that level. So it just hasn't been there for whatever reason. But the good news is, like we said, they can still somehow, some way get through what they need to get through and win these last 2 games and then move on from there.
So Pro Football Focus came out with their Team of the Week for Week 16, and Browns 3 players on it. You got Nick Chubb, and you got Joel Bitonio, again, moving from guard to tackle and graded out as the top left tackle in football. And then on the defensive side of the ball, this is a welcome addition. Anthony Walker coming back and makes Pro Football Focus's Team of the Week, graded out as highest linebacker. Again, those guys played really well. It's good to see Anthony Walker there. They definitely will be looking for more of that as they move forward with these last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Joel is just, I mean, he's a special player, and he has been, and he'll continue to be. I mean, you know, to move from left guard to left tackle, yes, there are similarities because you're still on the left side, but there's a lot of differences too. So for him to be able to know what he's doing every play and to do it at an elite level is special. And then, yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb, I thought had his, if not his best game of the year, one of the best games of the year. His vision was there. The Browns got enough push for him, did a great job. And Anthony Walker, a leader in that defense without John Johnson III out. Or without John Johnson III in that game on Saturday. I mean, he needed to step up and make plays, and he did. I mean, I thought he was pretty fantastic when it came to, you know, having guys in the right spot, and the defense as a whole, I thought was fantastic. So that's a kudos to him as a leader, and kudos to him as a player on that defense.
Well, you know, the defense, as we had mentioned, played really well and has the last couple of weeks, really since the Patriots game. They've played really well. Kevin Stefanski talked about defense performance in Green Bay against the Packers.
Yeah, you know, holding that team to that amount of points, again, in that building when they have, you know, the ability to run their offense and the quarterback does a great job, as you know, in their operation. So I think limiting the points was a big deal. Obviously, I think we could have played better in the first half. We gave up a couple plays there in the red zone. I think that, you know, we can be better as players, as coaches. You know, we can just do a better job in that first half. Having said that, second half defense was really good. And again, limiting the amount of points in that building, I think, is a big deal.
Hayden Grove, if you'd have told me in a show leading up to the Packers game that the Browns were going to hold the Packers to 24 points and then hold the Packers to 24 points, I'd have said there's a chance they're going to win that game. There's a pretty good chance they're going to win that game.
Yeah, and they probably should have, outside of, you know, I mean, like I said, the 4 interceptions, you can't take that away. I mean, whether it be the result of bad calls, be the result of bad, you know, throws, whatever the result of, I mean, when you give the other team the ball 4 times, that's just it's not going to end up in your favor no matter what. And unless you're somehow the Baltimore Ravens and you did that to the Cleveland Browns. But, you know, as against the Packers, I should say, it's definitely not going to end up in your favor against a team like Aaron Rodgers. And it's tough. I mean, you know, I think 2 or 3 of those interceptions came in the first half. I think 3 of them did, and you know, that's when they scored most of their points. I mean, I think they scored 3 touchdowns off of 3 turnovers, and you know, you just can't have it. You can't have that happen. Be it, you know, again, be it through a lack of a call here, a lack of a call there, or you know, or just a bad throw or a bad decision. It's tough.
Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take one more timeout. On the other side of the break, we head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We will also take a look at the AFC North. What's coming up for the competitors and what needs to happen for the Browns to have a chance at winning that division in Week 18. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
Browns and Steelers play a week from tonight, Monday night. Browns need a win without question. Time to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one deals with the offensive struggles. Our caller says it is not all on Baker Mayfield.
Hi, Dave. This is Ron Byer. Dave, yes, Baker Mayfield had another subpar game and a disappointing season so far. But in my opinion, Kevin Stefanski's offensive philosophy and play calling is the number one reason our offense looks lethargic and cannot finish games this year. Let me explain. The strength of our offense is in the offensive line and our 3 running backs. 2 out of 3 running backs should be on the field at all times, with a 3rd back to come in the game to give breaks. All season long, Stefanski wants to use motion before every snap. This has not fooled anyone. Just line up. Let the line do their thing, and the running backs use their skills in running and in the passing game. In my opinion, Stefanski must give up his play calling duties. We need a play caller that will use the strength we have and use it with dominance. And then we might find out that the backfield can and will lead this team to victories. The quarterback of our dreams is not going to appear just with a snap of our fingers.
All right, that's Ron Beyer on the voicemail. And Hayden, when you look at the play calling, I have been for two backs on the field. The motion will usually give you an idea if your defense is in man-to-man or zone. That's usually why they do that, to kind of get a read of what the defense is doing and give you some ideas of what you want to do as far as attacking it.
Yeah, there's nothing to be. I mean, the motion thing that's exactly what it is, to give Baker a better idea, what he's looking at, to give receivers a better idea what they're looking at. To give everyone, if you know whether they're in zone or man, that's a good thing. So the motion is not my issue. I do think the play calling at times this year has been, very vanilla and has not necessarily sparked this offense. But on Saturday, I thought Kevin Stefanski was fantastic. I do. I thought he got guys open. I thought his plays were called in the right spots. I thought that, the only thing that I would say, and I can't really even say this, is because Nick Chubb did get some carries in that in that last drive. I would have kept giving him the ball just because he was hot, and why not? You had 3 timeouts, like keep running him. But I mean, there were guys open all over the field, and Baker, hit a lot of them, but there were some that he missed, and I can't put that on Kevin Stefanski. So I think Kevin Stefanski was wonderful on Saturday, but I do agree that the offensive philosophy at times can be a little vanilla, can be a little too old school. And doesn't necessarily excite his players, doesn't spark them up and get them ready to go out there and perform.
Yeah, I would agree pretty much with everything you said. At times it is too predictable. Vanilla's okay, but if they know exactly what's coming and it becomes predictable that you don't break tendencies, that's where I think the issue becomes. Well, Kevin Stefanski talked about play calling, especially on that last drive. If you remember, last week it was, why did you run Nick Chubb so much on third down and with the game on the line, and you should have given the ball to Nick Mullins and let him throw it. This week it's, why'd you throw the ball? Why didn't you run Nick Chubb? Here's Kevin Stefanski on the play calling that last drive.
We felt pretty good about the calls, Tom. Specifically, we had a potential for an explosive on first down, had a screen on second down when the screen game had been good to us. And then third down, obviously, we turned the ball over. But, we're always considering many different ways to go there. And you're right, we had those 3 timeouts, so we felt like we were in control there. But ultimately, when you don't come through, you second guess everything. I mean, you second guess the first play of the game, the second play of the game, whatever it is. When it doesn't work, we're definitely second guessing ourselves.
And that's the frustrating part of it. And again, you and I talked last week, and I said the same thing that I'll say. If you want to convince me you should run Nick Chubb, absolutely. If you want to convince me that you think you should throw, absolutely. Play calling is an art. And, it's easy to sit back after the game and say, boy, you should have done this.
Yeah, it is. He's right, though. I mean, the first play to Njoku was a bad throw by Baker. And, your quarterbacks are going to have bad throws, but I can't put that on Stefanski. And then the screen game had been working well, and it was a great play by the defensive end to kind of get in a good position and knock that ball down. And then, the third play to Donovan Peoples-Jones, it looked like it was in matchup that they wanted. When when you get tugged like that and you get pulled back, it's hard to make a play. So, I still, like I said, I would have kept Nick Chubb rolling. He was the hot hand, and I understand that, maybe he gets tired, and I understand that completely. But maybe give Dearness Johnson a shot to run the ball. I mean, they were running the ball so well. It's just, it makes it, you're right, it makes it more difficult to say, man, they threw the ball three straight plays when they were running the ball, so well throughout the game. So You're right. Hindsight's 20/20, and you got to move forward. You can't look back at it. But I really am going to give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit for his play calling against the Packers in that game. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I loved it up until the last series where they turned the ball over. Let's take a look at the AFC North's remaining schedule. And when we look at this, pay attention to the first game. So Bengals host the Chiefs. The Ravens host the Rams. The Browns go to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Now, Kansas City's favored in that game. Rams are favored against the Ravens, and the Browns are favored in Pittsburgh. If those three things happen, then the Browns will play the Bengals in Week 18 with the AFC North on the line.
Yeah, it's that simple. I think Kansas City's on a roll like none other right now. They're playing their butts off. I mean, they throttled the Steelers. The Rams are certainly starting to come into their own. Odell Beckham Jr. playing pretty well up there with Matt Stafford. There's no reason that they shouldn't be in a position to where the Browns are playing Steelers for the division week 17. Or week 18. Sorry, It's just it is what it is. It's tough, and here we go. You don't have an ability to win your division by yourselves anymore. You got to have some help, but sometimes you need help, and sometimes you get help. So I don't see why Kansas City couldn't beat Cincinnati. I don't see why the Ravens, can't get beaten by the Rams. These things should happen. And I think even furthermore, if the Ravens lose to the Steelers in week 18, then I think that the Browns could still win the division that way too. So there's still other opportunities.
The Ravens need to lose one of their last two is what it is. But, big thing is Browns have to beat the Steelers. Kevin Stefanski talked about that game against the Steelers, team they know pretty well.
We have to control what we can control. I think it is really the biggest thing there, and that's right in front of us is this game, and that's what's the most important. So certainly frustrated with how the last game went. But we're going to coaches, players, staff, we have to put all of our energies into this game this week. A division game, an opponent that we know really well, very, very well coached, bunch of great players. So we know that it's going to be a fight, a 60-minute fight. We get that, and that's what we expect.
And Hayden, when you look at it, it's likely Ben Roethlisberger's last home game. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it. And the Steelers, quite frankly, looked awful against the Chiefs. So they'll be looking to rebound.
That they will. They will definitely be looking to rebound. And, the atmosphere is going to be insane, and it's going to be tough. I mean, there's no doubt it's going to be tough for the Browns to win this game. But on the flip side, the Browns have, had two pretty bad weeks in terms of luck and in terms of, not performing. So this is the time to, come out and not make it three in a row. If they make it three in a row, they have no one to blame but themselves. So you got to hope that they have a full week of practice. They got everybody essentially back now from COVID. They will have everybody essentially back from COVID, for this game. I mean, you got Jadeveon Clowney back. Myles Garrett gets another week to rest, kind of. Like we said, Malik McDowell. I mean, they have a lot more guys, a lot more ammunition in this game against the Steelers. So there's zero excuse. You got to go out and get the job done.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Hayden, as always, man, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Dave.
All right. Have a good one. Hayden Grove, make sure you read him. Page of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan joins us. We will continue to talk Browns getting ready for the Steelers a week from tonight. Monday Night Football, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams, I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns, getting ready for a Monday night game a week from tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's final home game for the Steelers. Well, Colin Cowherd had said a while ago that he was going to quit talking about Baker Mayfield. Fans voted on it. They voted that he should stop talking about him. Talked about Baker Mayfield last week, and what a shock. Colin Cowherd talking about Baker Mayfield again this week.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Listen, you know I don't buy into Baker Mayfield at all. But, I mean, after today's first half, you got Picasso on one side, Aaron Rodgers, against finger painting on the other. I mean, you got to stop trying to convince people Baker's special. I mean, these are weak throws, any pressure, he unravels, poor judgment. There's no special athletically. There's no special with the arm. It's just basic stuff. He should actually have 4. That ball, that 2-point conversion in the end zone should have been intercepted. So Merry Christmas. Baker's in the giving mood, obviously. But, I mean, this is, at this point, you can't tell me the people upstairs, Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they know what they have or don't have.
And let's welcome in Mac Robinson. And Mac, Baker's in the giving mood because he's given Colin more stuff to talk about. Yeah. There's Colin again.
Yeah, I was going to say you might as well call him Farmer Colin at this point because even on Christmas Day, the guy finds a way to create some kind of controversy when it comes to Baker Mayfield. Now, look, I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield was tremendous on Sunday. Clearly, he wasn't. Let's just be honest and let's put that up front. You know, Baker Mayfield, obviously, 4 interceptions. It's flat out bad. It's terrible. But at the same time, again, we've never really put Baker Mayfield up there with Rodgers. You know, again, it's never been that direct comparison. It's never been Baker Mayfield is Pat Mahomes. Baker Mayfield is these top-tier elite quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield just isn't that. He's not. He can be a good quarterback. Clearly, we saw that last year, but clearly what we've seen so far in 2021 has been far short of what we saw last year. But at the same time, again, when you're throwing constantly, oh, is he Russell Wilson? Is he this quarterback? Is he that quarterback? Flat out, no. And especially what you saw on Sunday. Look, I think that the comparisons are overdone, but at the same time, like we've gone over this time and time again, Colin Cowherd is just farming those clicks. He's farming people getting upset, people going back and forth, and again, he did it from his fireplace. He's not even, trying to get dressed up in order to make sure that he's showing that he's, putting an effort behind it. It's just a T-shirt. I'm going to go ahead and sit by my fireplace, be nice and warm, and I'm going to go ahead and get you all nice and angry on your Christmas Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit for Colin, but all right. This is not good. This is from NFL on CBS. So most games this season with a passer rating below 60. Baker Mayfield with 4, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson with 4, 3 players tied with 3. Those are not guys whose neighborhood you want to be hanging in But when you look at Sam Darnold, that's another guy who a lot of people thought the Browns should take with the #1 overall pick back in that 2018 draft. So.
Yeah, and and two of those guys were New York Jets as well, so that's also great company. But, the other thing that you look at is the situation at that point. Again, you have somebody like a Sam Darnold. You have somebody where, Zach Wilson, he's dealt with injuries as well with his development. But, when it comes to Baker Mayfield, the biggest issue that we've seen so far this year has been the inconsistency. Week 1, you saw he had a tremendous game outside of that last drive against Kansas City. But ever since then, and since that injury, we have seen Baker have the highs of the Cincinnati game, and then we've seen multiple low games, as that stat shows. Again, it's been the highs and lows of Baker Mayfield, and it really feels like there's very few in between. Like it feels like you're getting all or nothing from Baker throughout this year. And so, when I'm sitting back and watching these games, it's really tough to kind of get a gauge on just where he's at, just because of the injuries combined with, again, just that inconsistent play. And it makes it so frustrating from, just a viewing standpoint. I want to be able to say that, the Browns have their quarterback, and I want to say that, again, whether or not this is the answer. But at the same time, given what we've seen go back and forth throughout this season, where he's shown those flashes, and again, you look back at last year, I just don't know what has happened when it comes to Baker Mayfield to this point, and how the Browns ended up in this point.
Yeah, my thing is I think the injury plays a much larger role in it than they're letting on. But the question then becomes, why, if he's that banged up, why is he playing? So, I mean, those are all questions that we're not going to know the answers to. We may never know the answers to that. All right. Browns need 3 things to happen. If these 3 things happen, the Browns are playing the Bengals Week 18 for the AFC North Championship. They need the Chiefs, who are 4.5-point favorites, to go into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals. They need the Rams, who are 3.5-point favorites, to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. And the Browns, who are 2.5-point favorites, need to go into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. Those 3 things happen, and all of those teams are favored. Then the Browns are playing the Bengals for the AFC North Championship in Week 18. Of those 3, list them in the most confident to least confident you are happening. So Chiefs beating the Bengals in Cincinnati, Rams beating the Ravens in Baltimore, and the Browns beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
Dave, you took my order. I have Kansas City beating Cincinnati. I think that one's a pretty safe bet. I think that the Chiefs at this point, they're on a roll. They're able to, get into a rhythm here week after week. But then you look at the Rams, and I know the only tricky part of that is them traveling across the country, in order to make that play in Baltimore, going coast to coast. But at the same time, with the way that secondary is in Baltimore, I really think that Matthew Stafford can take advantage of that secondary between Odell Beckham and also to Van Jefferson, as well as obviously Cooper Kupp having a phenomenal season. So, those trio of receivers, I think, can take advantage of that secondary. So I would put them 2. And then, look, I think I feel pretty good about the Browns getting the win against Pittsburgh Steelers. But at the same time, again, when it comes to Big Ben, I hate saying just based on gut feeling more than anything. And, I try to give you some analysis when it comes down to it. But there's just something about Big Ben against the Cleveland Browns. And I was there to see it against at First Energy earlier on in this season. And there's just something about that game where there's always something that gets thrown into the mix. So, I would put that one at 3. I still feel like the Browns can get the win, clearly. I think that Big Ben is over the hill, and I would love for him to stick around as a quarterback because, I clearly think that there's a lot of great years ahead in the matchups between those two. But at the same time, I think that when it comes to the Browns, I do think the Browns are going to be able to get the victory over the Steelers, but I do think that, it's a little bit tricky when it comes down to that.
Yeah, I have the same order as that. I think the Chiefs would be 1, the Rams for some of the things that you mentioned going across the country. And the other thing is if Lamar Jackson's back, that guy's always a guy that could make a play or 2 and pull a game out. And the Browns, I'm concerned without question. Now, the other thing to point out, the Chiefs have to beat the Bengals. If the Bengals win, they kind of eliminate, or if the Bengals beat the Chiefs, they eliminate the Browns. But the Ravens, if they're able to beat the Rams, then you would go to the following week where if the Steelers were able to beat the Ravens, the Browns would again be playing the Bengals for that AFC North championship. So that is what that looks like. Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out on the other side of the break. We will hear from Kevin Stefanski what he has seen from Anthony Schwartz, rookie wide receiver, who had a pretty good game against the Packers. Plus, we'll look ahead to that Steelers game a week from tonight, Monday night. Must-win game for the Browns. Sports4CLE. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns. They will play next Monday night against the Steelers, game they must win. Browns' highest graded players for the game against the Packers. Nick Chubb tops the list. Anthony Walker, good to see him that high up, linebacker spot. Joel Bitonio, you move him all over the place, he still grades out high. MJ Stewart, he did have a really good game at the safety spot. And Dearness Johnson, also a great game as that second running back. And Mac, Walker is a guy they're going to need against the Steelers, along with the two running backs. It's kind of a given that you're going to get the play you do from Joel Bitonio. Kind of expect him to be one of the highest graded. But I think the run game will play a key for the Browns against the Steelers. And that defense is going to have to shut down Najee Harris and get after Ben Roethlisberger a little bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there, Dave. And, the other big part of this, too, was in their first matchup, the Steelers really focus on that run game and shutting down Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was coming off of the COVID list, I believe, either COVID list or he was coming off of his injury. No, he's coming back off the injury report. But, with Nick Chubb coming back into that game, he was still kind of getting his wheels going again. And at that point, he was really slowed down by that Steeler defense. So the Browns need Nick Chubb to get this game rolling at that point. Because I think if the Browns are able to get that lead early, I think that they're going to be able to, kind of sustain that success and really control the clock. They're able to do that well against Green Bay despite the turnovers. And then on the other side of the ball, you mentioned it with Anthony Walker. There were a few times where Najee Harris, as he's out in the open, you had guys making business decisions when it came to tackling Harris at that point. Anthony Walker was one of those guys. And MJ Stewart, too. I got to give a lot of credit to him as well because, again, you mentioned it, the fact that there were players that were down when it came to that secondary. He's really stepped up both this year and last year. He's been a great stalwart on that defensive side of the ball, and he's been somebody who's been able to fill in on the defensive side and been able to perform well. So, if he's able to step up, if Anthony Walker is able to perform well, and then you mix in JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah able to perform against Najee Harris, and I think that the Browns can go ahead and look at a victory here this week. And
I think one of the keys, as always, I say it all the time, turnovers are going to be a key, and the 4 turnovers against the Packers, especially against that team, do not give Ben Roethlisberger the ball any more than he's going to get it. Make them work for touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the name of the game, keeping away those extra possessions for the other team. And you think about it, it's tough, obviously, to win a game when you throw 4 interceptions. But at the same time, Browns still only lost this game by 2. So for the Browns, it's a situation where the defense has been performing. They've been able to step up. But at the same time, the offense needs to pick up on the other side as well and make sure that you're converting and not turning the ball over, like you mentioned. It's a key battle every single week. And for the Browns, they need to make sure that they're taking care of the ball, and especially against a veteran team like the Steelers with Najee Harris as a rookie running back, but under the lead of Ben Roethlisberger, they need to make sure they don't give that team any extra possessions at that point.
Kevin Stefanski talked about Anthony Schwartz and his performance, a guy that could be very valuable the last couple games, stretching the defense. They also get the ball in his hands because of his speed. Here's Kevin Stefanski on Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah, I think for sure with Anthony, like you mentioned, coming off the concussion protocol, getting into these games, getting him some touches, I think his role will grow as he becomes, just playing more football. I wasn't playing there for a little bit.
And again, Mac, one of the things you do, that's a guy that literally has literal world-class speed. Get the ball in his hands and make the defense kind of defend him in space.
Yeah, and he's somebody where if you get him with a head of steam at that point, it's tough to catch him. Like you said, he's got world-class speed. He's known for his track and field in the past as well. He's a world-class sprinter. And so at that point for him, he's that deep threat that you need to get into a rhythm. So for him, it's somebody where, he's a constant threat when he's on the field. But the problem has been getting him on the field. And so for him, he missed so much time with that concussion. You have to make sure that you're getting him back up to speed and making sure that he's not as rusty when he comes back out onto the field. So for Stefanski, it's about manufacturing some of those touches and, being able to try to take advantage of that speed going deep.
Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan. Mac, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Of course, Dave. Always love hopping on with you guys.
All right, Mac Robinson, you can hear him 92.3 The Fan. That'll do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Scheduled guests, Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff from News Radio, WTAM 1100. That is tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Sports4CLE. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.